Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Topic of Discussion. I am your host, Miles Berry. I have made it home from driving, so yes, I have made it home. I have had safe travels to the home. I didn't run over any bad conditions or run through any bad conditions, so I'm glad. Anybody that's in, I think it's Asheville, North Carolina, if you know anybody, any family members there, please call and check on them because it's not going well there. You know, it's a lot of damage. It's been a lot of flooding, a lot of roads tore up, and honestly, it looks crazy. Okay, so if you have anybody out there, or just anybody that was affected, period, by this Hurricane Helena, please check on them. And my prayers and thoughts are always going out to them. So let's just send a special prayer out there to them. Okay. So without further introduction, today's topic is going to be perspectives, right? So when I say the word perspectives, we understand what that is as far as everybody just having a different approach on things or how people see things. Sometimes people can be one-sided, right? And you're just like, okay, why are you being one-sided? Because they're staying true to their perspective on how they see it, right? They can't see it no other way, so they're being one-sided or they're being defiant. Sometimes even if they know they're wrong or they can see it another way and they're not, they're just being one-sided, right? But at the same time, what I'm trying to emphasize today is we have different perspectives on things, and sometimes we need to just change our perspective on how we look at it. Sometimes we look at success and say, okay, we're not making it how we want to, or we're not reaching our goals successfully, and we're not doing everything that we need to be doing on a daily basis. But at the same time, again, in another video, I say it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. Sometimes we need to change our perspective, the way that we see the route to the success or the route to our goals that we're trying to do, or a route to a better life for ourselves, or a route to our better mental. Sometimes it's just the perspective that we see it, right? And sometimes when I'm talking amongst people, or I'm talking between, even if it's just me and somebody or me and a group of people, sometimes everybody has different perspectives because it's how we were raised, how we were brought up, the things that we seen growing up, and the things that other people didn't see growing up. So we're gonna have a different perspective, a different approach on how we look at things, and that's okay. But sometimes we have to change our perspectives in life to see life from a different angle. Sometimes in life, our focal and the viewpoint of how we see things is always the same. And that's always the life that you're going to see moving forward in your life or in your future. But at the same time, you change that now for the better and have a different perspective. You change how you think. You change how you wake up. You change your daily routine. You have a different perspective of life, right? Because most of the time, our perspective changes after we go through things. Like we had to go through something that hurts us. Now we have a different perspective of life, right? So what I'm trying to emphasize today, let's not go through that pain, that hurt, or anything along those lines, and then have to see a different perspective. Let's change our perspective now when we know we're having a we're having the wrong perspective on something, or we're having the wrong perspective on life. Like, let's go ahead and change that now before something has to happen and change that. That's almost like sometimes when we go through pain or we go through certain situations that make us, it's like a reality check. It's like, okay, now let me change now because that route I was taking was not working. And sometimes we knew the route we were taking was not going to work at all, but we kept forcing it until something happened. So today, I just want to speak on perspectives. This is short. I am on my home time. I'm going to be hitting the road back tomorrow, so the videos will be back longer. But at the same time, I just want to speak on perspectives and just having a different approach. Change your viewpoint. Change how you see things. All right, everything's not going to be picture perfect. Everything's always not going to be set in stone, but we can change how we view things. We can change how we see things. We can change how we approach people, things, ourselves going forward. All right, because you have to have a good perspective to be able to speak a good perspective. And what I mean by that is how you view something has to be good. You can't, because let me give you an example. If you're always around negative people, or you're the one that's negative around good people, your approach and how you speak negative is always going to change the people around you. Okay? I'm not saying you're just going to, because you were speaking negative, you're just going to change everybody around you. No. But the words that you keep playing out there in the atmosphere around this group of people is going to affect them in another way, in a negative way. And one or two things are going to happen. They're either going to leave you, or you're going to make their thoughts become negative. So let's just change our perspective, change how we view things, change the way that we look at things, because it's going to protect our heart, it's going to protect our mental, it's going to protect us going forward in our life, right? So That's all I wanted to say today. And one more thing before I go, your perspective in relationships, because there's always two people and there's two sides to every story. And you know, sometimes in relationships you have to compromise. We're not talking about just relationships between a man and a woman, husband and wife, girlfriend and boyfriend. We're talking about relationships with kids as well, relationship with your parents as well, relationship with your grandparents as well, cousins, friends, anybody along those lines. Sometimes when you're having disagreement and there are two sides to one story, sometimes you have to see other people's perspective. And sometimes we refuse not to and say, okay, well, I can't see it from your perspective, so I'm just going to disagree with you. Sometimes when you open your eyes and open your mind to other perspectives, I mean, you don't have to agree, but at least hear them out so you can understand. Because like I just said, sometimes we're coming from two different backgrounds. So the things that we go through and the things that we have to go through in our life are totally different. So the way I'm approaching the situation is because of the things that I had to go through in my life, and the way you're approaching the situations, your upbringing, the things you went through in your life. So there's nothing wrong with having two different perspectives, but be able to hear and be able to listen and be able to understand. Because a lot of us hear things, but we're not understanding one another, yeah. So let's just get better at that and help each other out. Our whole goal is to grow. Our whole goal is to grow closer to each other, grow more like a family. Like, aren't we tired of losing people? Aren't we tired of people walking out our life? Aren't we tired of us being the cost of things happening? Things are always going to happen, but when we are making these things happen, that's when things are going negative. So that was my topic for discussion today. Again, the topic was perspectives. I'll be back for another episode tomorrow. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, amazing day, and this has been Miles Berry.